Welcome to Why I Read, a session hosted by Pick a Book Global. I'm Krishan J, your moderator for this event. Before we begin, let me introduce you to Pick a Book. Pick a Book is a global initiative designed to foster the love for reading and personal growth through the wonders of literature. With our presence in 5 different countries, our mission is to encourage individuals to develop their full potential through the magic of books. The Why I Read segment is specifically designed to showcase successful individuals who are also avid readers, so that they can share their thoughts into how books was a part of their success and the transformative power of books. Now, without further ado, let us welcome our esteemed guest for today. It's my great honor to welcome Venerable Pothuhara Mahindasiri Thero. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Bye.
And as we begin, I encourage all of y'all to keep an open mind. We want this to be a broadening experience for all of y'all. Get ready to be inspired by the stories behind stories. To start off, what had initially drawn you to reading, and has that thought evolved during the time?
Okay. So first of all, thank you for having me for the show.
It's my great honor.
Yes, being a monk, it's a bigger part in monk's life is reading. Most of the time, monks are so much around books, right? They read all the time. But so there are a lot of incidents and there are a lot of things that inspired me to read. But once you become a monk, it is a must for you to read, right? Because without reading, we can't learn Buddhism, right? Because today, the Buddhist teachings are most of them are in the books. We call them Tripitaka. Okay, so we learn Buddhism from Tripitakas as well as the teachings from our teachers. Apart from that, so I'll start from one incident that happened around 8 years ago, like 6 years ago. Okay, this was a turning point in my life, in my monkhood, and that was I was in a monastery, in a temple, and at that time I was going through a very, very difficult time mentally. Because you can be a monk physically from one day. Just it takes 5 minutes to become a monk, right? But it takes a lifelong practice to be a monk from the mind. So, you have the human mind.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to be disciplined, right?
Understandable.
You struggle a lot to be disciplined. So you go through tough times. Okay. So same like every other human, I was going through a tough time in my life, and I was wondering whether to go back to the normal life and become a normal person again, like go back to the lay life, become a lay person again, or just to stay in the monastery and be a monk. I was struggling. It was a difficult time, and at that time, I had one of my brother monks who was a good reader as well, and he used to read a lot of self-help books. At that time, I was fond of reading fictions. Okay. And like in childhood, I've been inspired with Harry Potter and all the other fictions that in the childhood, but I have never read a self-help book at that time. And he was the one who introduced me to these 3 books called it's a Sinhala book. Okay. It's called Jeevithe Venas Karana Katha. Okay. There are 3 books. Now I think there's another 4th book in that series. So I started reading that, not just to know something or learn something, just for the pain, to ease up the pain in my mind. Okay. And from the first page, I was like amazed how had me drawn towards those stories and inspired me. And after I read all those 3 books, I was a different person, totally a different person, looking at the life in a different way. And that changed me a lot, and that drew me towards reading more and more. In that book is an author called, I can't remember the exact name now. It has been a long time now since I read that book. I couldn't read it again, but it's a beautiful book. And its name is Saman or something. Okay. So anyway, but the first story was about the person who was sacrificing all the things on behalf of others' happiness. Okay, being a monk, it's a bigger part. You need to sacrifice, dedicate your time and effort towards other people's happiness.
Yeah.
That inspired me. Okay, this is how I should live. Okay, this is how I should be. So that incident, that pain, was a blessing for my life. So that is the incident that drawn me towards reading.
That's fascinating to hear a story like that.
Yeah.
And can you recall a specific book that has a significant impact on you? And what made it so memorable that you can actually recall it even now? Is it that book that you mentioned in your story, or is it some other book?
Yeah, this and the top of the list is those 3 books.
Yeah.
Cannot forget about them. And every person, like when I meet someone who is going through a tough time, I give these 3 books. I donate them, I gift them these 3 books so that they have come off their problems. And it's amazing that those 3 books have saved 3 lives from suiciding, right? Because I gave these 3 books and I didn't say anything. I gave no advice, just handed over these 3 books and asked them to read, and it has saved their lives. Okay? But apart from that, that's a singular book. But there was another English book that's called Make Your Bed by William H. McRaven.
Okay.
It's an Army general, and he shares the lessons that he has learned from his Marine course. So I found it is very similar to the monkhood. Okay, being a monk is also like you're living in an army, like living in a camp, not like a military work, but you're battling with your mind.
Sure.
Okay, so that in that book he shares a lot of things about discipline and also the courage and also being focused on your goals, how little practices, little things that we do can affect the bigger parts in our life, right? So what he says is, the title says, make your bed.
Yeah.
Okay. So he says that every good thing you should start from making your bed. Okay. Very few of us make our bed.
True.
Right? So he says that start from making your bed, and that will make a good impact to the next step of your life. So that book made a huge impact, and I started making my bed after that, and it has a big impact.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
So,
that's a thing.
what do you value most from your reading experience? It could be entertainment or any other reason. What do you value most?
To be honest, like I cannot say there is one thing that I read, one reason that I read. There are many reasons that I read. Like some books I find escape. Some books I find the entertainment. For some books I read for learning.
Yeah.
And also there are a lot of things. No, in a book, every experience is there.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes we are drawn towards this escape, like when you read fictions. You can travel to a whole another world, right? So growing up, I read Harry Potter. I think I have read the whole series for 3 times now, and I still refuse to believe that it's a fiction, right? I still refuse to believe that. But that gives you the escape. It's a beautiful story, and also books like Make Your Bed and Atomic Habits, these things can make a huge impact in your life. It change the way you think, change the way you look at your life, right? And also the change the way you behave and deal with the outer world. Okay, so you cannot say there's one reason, but you find all the reasons inside books, right?
Yeah. In what ways do you see books as a tool for understanding life and deepening your spiritual knowledge?
Yeah. I think there are a lot of books, and there's a huge knowledge that you can gain about the spirituality, about the practice when it comes to, especially about the Buddhism. You have to read. and also when you read, it's a different way of reading. You can't read in the same way that you read novels, like when you're reading Buddhist books, right? Because in that way you have to be a slow reader. Okay, it's reading to understand, reading to apply it to life, and ask the question. And in every page you find something that can be applied to your life, right? In every teaching of the Buddha, you find something to be applied to your life. So that you ask the question, how can I see it through my life? Okay, how can I apply it to my life? So that you have to think. And one of the advices that I have given, from my teacher, my guru, is that do not read like speedily. Do not read just to finish the book. Read one page and try to understand, try to clarify it, and then go for the other one. Okay. So, yeah, before becoming a monk, I thought internet has answers for everything. Okay, and you can find anything in internet. But no, I was wrong. Okay, because I will tell you one incident. I wanted to learn about the tea culture in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And I was searching all through the internet about how it is happened and everything, but very few information that I could find. But one day I was visiting Ireland, and I was in a restaurant and I saw a book which has about the tea culture in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
I just took the book and just turned around and everything I needed, everything I was looking for was there inside the book. So that day I believed that I was wrong.
Yeah.
The books are so much different than this internet. Okay. So yeah, books will help you to learn a lot of things in life and be inspired and change the whole perspective of how you're looking at life.
How do you balance the consumption of written knowledge and experiential practice in Buddhism?
It's a good question. So, one part of the monkshood is the reading, and when you read, you have to have the intention of putting it to practice. Okay, so that you know how to balance it. Because reading only, you will get the knowledge. But knowledge and wisdom are two things, right? Two different things.
Yeah.
Knowledge you can read, you can learn, you can do courses and everything, and you can gain knowledge, right? And after gaining knowledge, you have to understand that, okay, now you have to ask from yourself, how can I put it to practice? Okay. So from the Buddhist scriptures, we learn that, okay, loving kindness is the antidote for hatred, right? Loving kindness is the solution for hatred. Now that's the knowledge that you learn from the book, that came from the Buddha's teachings. And if you know that and just stop from that, it's just a knowledge. Now you need to come out of the room and just see how it should be put into practice. And then you find that a lot of difficulties and a lot of problems, a lot of challenges when you put it into practice. And the solutions for all those problems, you find them again in the books, right? You can go back to the book, read it, and then take the inspiration and put it into practice. And that is how we balance the things.
Have you ever come across a book that you felt has a connection between literature and spiritual awakening? And if so, what is that? What is about the book that connects with you personally?
So there are a lot of books. Among them, one of the best books that I have read about spirituality and about the Buddhist practice is a book called Mindfulness in Plain English.
Okay.
Written by Venerable Henepola Gunaratana Thero. And that book shares a lot of practical ways where we can practice mindfulness in our day-to-day life and in the correct way, because there are a lot of practices about mindfulness. There are a lot of schools that shares the thoughts about mindfulness, But how can we apply the Buddhist way of mindfulness? He shares in a very profound way and a very easy language to understand. That's why it is called mindfulness in plain English. Okay, so that everyone is like, for everyone it's very easy to understand. And that book, I recommend it for everyone, anyone who wants to like practice the mindfulness in the Buddhist way. That is one of the best books that you can read, and it had inspired me in my practice and the way I look at the meditation, the way I practice the meditation. Because being a monk, when you start the monkhood, you're serious about everything, right? You about the meditation, about the monkhood. Then when you learn with the experience and with the time, and you gain the knowledge with these books, you learn how to make it a daily practice, right? Without the meditation being a daily practice, if you're doing it like here and there, like spontaneously, you can't get the results. So he shares how can we add it to our daily practice and make it a day-to-day habit, so that easy to understand. That book inspired me a lot. Yeah.
How do books influence your spiritual life in a daily basis?
Books, in the sense, one feeling that I get is that no matter how much difficult the day is, how much tired the day is, when you come to your room, sit down and take a book and just start reading it, everything start to forget. Right? It's just a little escape that I get, and with that it clarify your mind. That is why I have given, like, I read this quote somewhere, I cannot remember where I read this. If you don't have anything in your mind, like if your mind is empty, right, and if it is bothering you, right, you should read, so that you get new ideas and new ways of looking at life. And also sometimes I have found like some books can help to make the mind calm as well, like a meditation. It's not the meditation, but it's like a meditation that it can calm our mind. Yeah, there's it's a huge connection between spirituality and reading. Yeah.
How does reading contribute to your understanding of Buddha's teachings?
Okay. So as I mentioned before, like almost all the Buddha's teachings, now it is mentioned in the books, right? If you need to get knowledge from the Buddha's teachings, or if you need to hear the Buddha's teachings, now we cannot hear it from the master, from the Buddha, right? Now we need to read, so that we are more drawn towards reading the Buddha's teachings, direct Buddha's teachings. And as in monkhood, we spend a lot of time reading it, understanding, analyzing it. And one thing that we learn while reading is that all the Buddhist teachings serves one purpose. Okay, the Buddha teaches the Buddha's teachings for one purpose, and that is for the nirvana, or the liberation, or the enlightenment. And each and every page, we call them sutras, the Buddha's teachings, each and every sutra is directed toward that one purpose. Okay, so if you read the Buddha's teachings, you may be coming across with like different streams, but finally you're coming to the ocean. That is the final state, right? Same like rivers, all the rivers are directed towards the ocean. Same like all the Buddha's teachings are directed towards the liberation. So that today, if you need to learn the Buddha's teachings, the only way is, the best way is to read.
How does reading interact with or support your meditation practice?
So, as I mentioned before, the meditation book, it's called the Mindfulness in Plain English. And I started learning about the mindfulness and practicing about the mindfulness from that book. And he serves, like the Venerable Ratana serves, step-by-step guide what you should do, and also what you should stay away from. Because most of the time we get advice to what to do, but not what not to do, right?
Yeah.
So he shares the advices about like what you should stay away from meditation. And also he completely, like very clearly, he separates what is meditation and what is not the meditation. Like people think this is meditation, but it is not. Right? So he clearly draws the line what meditation is and what meditation is not. Okay, so that books, and there are a lot of books about meditation, spiritual practice, that helps you to develop your spiritual path. But here's the thing: reading them is the first step. But he should not stop from that step. Okay, just reading is not the only reason why we practice Buddhism, right? Gaining the knowledge is not the purpose. Putting it to practice and realizing it by yourself is what we see from Buddhism.
Let's just imagine. So I want to learn more about Buddhism, and so what are 3 books that you would recommend for someone who would like to know what the Buddha taught? What is Buddhism?
So I meet a lot of beginners, like who are new to Buddhism, sometimes who are from other religions and other faiths, right? So one book that I give for many of them is called What the Buddha Taught, from Venerable Valpola Rahula, and he explains all the fundamental things and fundamental teachings in a simple way. But it takes time. He writes this book in a little bit of more literature language.
Okay.
But it's a great book. Like if you're a beginner, a must read is What the Buddha Taught. And there's another one. If you need to learn the Buddhism, core concepts of Buddhism in a brief way, this is called Buddhism in a Nutshell.
Okay.
Okay, this is also a good book.
Okay.
And apart from all of this, there's another one book. This is the Life of the Buddha.
Okay.
You should refer this to learn who is the Buddha and what was his life, right? Without learning who is the Buddha and what is his life, how he became the Buddha, and how much dedication he had done, we cannot get an idea what Buddha's teachings are. So, best books to read is The Life of the Buddha by Bhikkhu Nyanamoli. These are the 3 books.
Thank you for the recommendations. I'm pretty sure it will be very helpful for a very bunch of people. What guidance would you offer for someone who is beginning to read?
If you're a beginner, start from simple books. Start from books that are more, I don't know, because we don't know what books that we become inspired of.
Yeah.
Until then, we have to keep reading. Because there's a saying that says, we all are readers, but still we haven't find. If someone is not reading, that means that he hasn't find his favorite book.
Okay.
Okay, so we all are readers.
Yeah.
So we need to find that one book that inspires us. Sometimes, luckily, we come across that books at one go. Okay, but until then, you have to read simple books. And I say that don't try to read in a rush. Read it slowly. Feel it and experience it, and then you will be able to keep on reading for your time, like for the rest of your life. Okay, so read to enjoy, and also you have to read slowly, right? Then you can digest more.
Okay. Why do you believe people should engage in reading? Why do you think people should just start reading?
See, we being born as a human, we learn a lot of things. Like when we come to this world, we knew nothing. How to live, what to do, right? Where to go, what's the purpose of life? No, nothing, right? And it's the society around us teaches us how things are going on, right? And also, there are certain things that we learn from the society by listening, by looking at them, right? That's one thing. And also nowadays we can learn a lot of things through internet. But what books share is totally different knowledge, right? A different taste of knowledge it can be the same thing that we learn, but it comes in a different taste, right? Like a coffee, right? There are a lot of coffees, right? A huge array of types of coffees, but each and every type has a different taste. Same like that, the books, what the books gives us is a different taste of knowledge, wisdom that we gain. So we need to gain wisdom in a different taste. We should really start reading.
Honorable Pothuhara Mahindasiri Thero, your knowledge and your experience, what you shared, it was really heartwarming for me, and I'm pretty sure a bunch of our viewers also benefited out of it. And before we conclude for today, is there anything thought or something that you would like to share with the audience that will benefit them? Is there something you want to share?
So one advice and one thing that I would like to share is that day by day, the technology is becoming faster and faster. The more we become, the technology can be faster, it should be faster. But we need to ask the question from ourselves, should we become faster like that? Right? So there should be one part of our life, every one of our lives, to find that slow and calm and peaceful pace. Okay, because living in a faster society, rapid growing society, it's very hectic in your mind. Your mind becomes tired, stressed in this fast moving world. So if you need to slow down, one thing that you can do is you can start reading, because internet is faster, but books are still slow.
Yeah.
Right? You have to read it word by word, okay, page by page, chapter by chapter. That's how you become slow, right? So we all need to slow down. Not every time, but at some points in our life, we all need to slow down. When we slow down, we can learn many things, and it will give rise to the wisdom as well.
Once again, thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for sharing all this with us. And I hope you find more serenity and wisdom in your future days from out of more books. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for joining us in Why I Read, hosted by Pick a Book Global. Until we come and see you with another session, hope you have a great time, and see you soon.